Yeah, I'm going to be reading from Dildonics, Dykes and the Detachable Masculine by Jeanne E. Hamming. I chose this because it's about sexualities and gender identities, and that's something that I'm really into. It's because I'm into it anyway, because I'm a human being, but also because I'm doing a sex re-education project with Jenny Moore there and with Phoebe Davis. I also chose this text because it's got long words in it, and I quite like long words, even though I realise they're not always useful. I started researching dildos after a man told me that he thought lesbians were lesbians because they hadn't had good penis. At the time, I didn't know how to respond, and as I later thought of all the things I wish I'd said, I made some interesting discoveries. What if I told him I didn't think good penis existed? What if I said, I've just bought a good penis for $14.95 and it's teal with little silver sparkles? What if I reversed the causality of his claim and argued that lesbians haven't had good penis because they're lesbians? But none of these remarks really address my point. Of course good penis exists for straight and bi women, and even for lesbians. That is, if we mean the penis as a pleasure-giving device, rather than as a synecdochal extension of manness. And even if I reverse the causality of his argument, I deny the possibility that women can be lesbians and enjoy penetration, or that women can be bisexual, can have good penis and enjoy sexual encounters with women as well. I soon realised that I had some serious work to do. Okay, cool, let's pause there for a minute then, and let's just let Jeanne do that serious work. I think it's probably a good opportunity to see if we can connect the first bit of what she said. Yes?
Excuse me?
Yeah? Yes?
I sexually identify myself as ninja.
Thank you, thank you.
What do you think about that?
I think, yeah. I think like self-identification is definitely the way to go, and I absolutely support your identification.
I'm ninja.
Cool. They're ninjaing away. Ninja, like, stay if you want. Cool, okay. Okay, so, yeah, let's see. Okay, let's pause there for a moment and give Jeanne a bit of time, because it seems like a good opportunity to see if it's possible to relate this first bit to a feminist artwork in Tate Modern, which is what we've been tasked to do. So how about this, by Ronnie Horn. It's a big cube of pink glass called Pink Tons, and it's downstairs as part of the historically male-dominated minimalist art display on level 2. Ronnie Horn's well into like doubling and mirroring, so I've written this next bit so it sounds like what Jeanne wrote, but a little bit different. Here we go. I started researching Pink Tons by Ronnie Horn after a man told me that he thought feminists were feminists because they hadn't had good minimalist art. At the time, I didn't know how to respond, and as I later thought of all the things I wish I'd said, I made some interesting discoveries. What if I told him I didn't think good minimalist art existed? What if I said, I just bought a good minimalist artwork for $4.95, by which I mean a big cardboard box to keep my dildos in? What if I reversed the causality of his claim and argued that feminists haven't had good minimalist art because they're feminists? But none of these remarks really address my point. Of course good minimalist art exists, That is, if we mean minimalist art as an appreciation of geometric abstract forms, rather than as a synecdochal extension of the continued dominance of public art collections by white male artists, including those who committed violence against women like Carl Andre, who you'll hear more about tonight from another speaker. I soon realised that I had some serious work to do. Okay, so I think that kind of works. I think there's some valid crossovers in there, you know, to do with identity and misrepresentation and objects as symbols of structural violence. Let's see what other connections can be made. Onwards with the dildos, Gian writes. In this article, I attempt to liberate the dildo from the negative and repressive connotations it normally evokes, namely as representative of the penis and hence the phallus. Although the dildo implies a male gender, I assert that it has the potential to be recoded as a post-gender, non-phallic signifier if we can think beyond the implied genders of neutral objects. The dildo scandalizes identity categories of gender and sexuality because it reveals that the penis is always separate from the body, that the dildo is separate from the penis, and that sexual pleasure can be disconnected from sexual identity, as well as from essentialist ideas of the self. Get in! Gian's done something big there to dildos with words. But can Pink Tons by Ronnie Horn trouble gender in the same way? On the Take website, somebody called Richard Martin writes, given that minimalism has historically been dominated by male artists, Ronnie Horn's use of pink frosted glass within such a large and heavy object may be seen as an attempt to question traditional conceptions of masculine and feminine art. Well done, Richard. It's a bit of a push, maybe, but I like what you're saying, Richard, positioning this artwork as a potential challenge to the masculine-feminine binary and this whole idea of gendered art. Thank you. During a 2013 interview with the artist and curator Julie Alt, Ronnie Horn, the artist, said, in the glass pieces, what fascinates me has a lot to do with the essence of something that has one appearance but is really something completely different. For example, glass is a super-cooled liquid, not a solid. It's a pretty amazing thing that a material as ubiquitous as glass can masquerade like that. Wait a minute. What? Glass is a super cooled liquid, not a solid. Did you know that? Did you know that? Yes? Thank you. Somebody knew that. Can you just check with the person next to you? Just ask the person next to you, did you think glass was solid? Just go for it.
I knew it was liquid. I've always found it absolutely fascinating. But it starts, yeah. It's just starts, isn't it? Yeah. It's like over hundreds of years.
Okay, cool. I'm just going to take a show of hands then.
Love it.
So can you raise your hand if you did in fact think that glass was a solid? Okay, cool. We've got, quite a few people in here. The people who knew that it was a super cooled liquid, wicked. But for all those other people, right now is a pretty big moment for them. At 7:10 on Friday the 24th of February 2017 in Tate Modern. Because glass isn't solid anymore. It's a super cooled liquid now. How destabilizing. You think something's solid, regimented, either this or that, and then you find out it's liquid. It's fluid. It can be this and that. or neither this nor that at all. Let's go back to Gian now as she moves on to dildos through the lens of Donna Haraway's equally destabilising Cyborg Manifesto, which Gian describes as a political position predicated on blasphemy, on an ontology of identity that undoes binary distinctions between male and female, human and machine, in an undeniably material way. This blasphemy, while on the one hand compromising the firmly grounded position from which feminists often articulate their politics, also opens up the possibility to speak from a position that is mutable, plural, and difficult to regiment. The dildo has a long history in which it's been inflected by phallocentric narratives of supplementarity and penis envy. Yet, as a technological cyborgian apparatus, the potential available for lesbians to abandon that history, to be unfaithful to the origins of masculinist, heterocentric rhetoric about the penis/phallus as they've been articulated in relation to the dildo, seems provocative enough. Yes, G, and together with our dildos we can topple heteronormative patriarchy. But can Ronnie Horn's pink tons ever be provocative enough to be unfaithful like a dildo can? I chose to read from Dildonics, Dykes and the Detachable Masculine by Gianni Hamming because it presents an alternative, another way of seeing and being, that as a reader I can use to hold the patriarchal, heterosexist mainstream to account, and for me that makes it feminist. But can minimalist art ever be feminist, even if it is pink? Under the definition of minimalist art on the Tate website, it says, with minimalism, no attempt is made to represent an outside reality. And this is the problem for me. It's why that imaginary man was imaginarily right when he imaginarily told me that he thought feminists were feminists because they hadn't had good minimalist art. Because how can you have good minimalist art when you believe that art should use its power to grab people, to educate them as to what's going on in the world? I guess a more feminist version of Pink Tons could have on it the face of Kiki Collier, who was killed on Tuesday in Chicago, making her the fourth trans woman in the United States murdered this year. Or maybe it could be dropped through the roof of the Houses of Parliament next time the Public Bill Committee meet to vote on LGBTQ inclusive sex education in schools. And the 10 Tories who hold 10 of the 15 votes are about to vote against it again like they did in January. The Tories wouldn't die or anything, just, change their minds when they see their reflections in the cube of pink glass and realise it's not solid after all. Thank you.